Planning to hire a rental car in New Zealand sounds simple, but one click can add hundreds of dollars to your booking, and many travelers never even notice it. By the end of this video, you know exactly how to find your best value rental car, avoid hidden fees, and use one simple depot location trick that will cut your price tag big time. Let's get started. Right, let's start to have a look through the 𝗬𝗏𝗂𝗂𝗯𝗲 website, which I found very helpful because they list most of the major companies here in New Zealand, as well as you can compare the prices and the policies, so you don't have to go through each individual operator. I've been using this site and I'm recommending this site for years now to my guests when I'm planning holidays with them, as well as I have used them directly for my personal travel, so I can vet for them. So the obvious place to start here is right on the top. You put in your pickup location. I put in Auckland or locations here, and then you can either return to the same location, or you can basically put in another location like here, Rotorua Airport, put in the date, the time, the same for the drop-off date and time. Then we click the search now function, and then obviously the search begins and the rental car options come up. As mentioned before, it goes through quite a few options. So let's have a look through what we got here. So we got the lowest price entry-level cars here on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side is an interesting one, the navigation bar. You can select here the popular filters like very good plus, so customer feedback. You can go down here locations where you want to pick it up. If you want to pick it up Auckland Airport or non-airport locations, which basically is city locations in New Zealand. The number of seats if you're traveling with a family like 4, 5, 7, etc., etc. Additional options like additional charge for a baby seat or child seat or navigation, and the suppliers which do have a depot both in Auckland and in Rotorua. So to make this all a little bit more real, the planning, let's have a look through a sample itinerary and let's plan out a rental car based on that sample itinerary, 3 weeks North and South Island. So we would actually need a rental car around about 7 days in the North Island, about 14 days in the South Island. So let's go through the booking process on 𝗬𝗏𝗂𝗂𝗯𝗲 based on those dates and locations and see what we can come up with and what kind of suggestions I have for you in respect on how to save the rental costs. By the way, you can actually download this sample itinerary down in the description box below and gives you a head start with your planning. Okay, let's assume you're a couple traveling together. You want to have an intermediate SUV rental car in comfort. You have a couple of suitcases. You want to have a comfortable ride. Let's assume you would pick up in Auckland and drop it off in Rotorua and then fly to the South Island. This is often a good way to do, but the key issue with this one is that you might be hit by one-way fees and relocation fees. So let's have a look through. So we already searched that pick up on the 10th of November, drop off on the 17th November. Let's say you want to have this Honda 𝗬𝗏𝗡, and let's have a little look at the deal you're getting with this one. So here on the right-hand side, you have the costs, and here is one obviously which jumps right up here. It's a one-way fee. So this is quite a common thing that you get charged $300, $400, $500 one-way fee if you pick up Auckland into Rotorua. Sometimes if you have more than 5 days, 7 days, they will actually reduce that or flag that totally. But in this instance, we need to be aware that there is a one-way fee. So keep that in mind. So the cost because of that is actually quite high, even before we go through the insurance options. But let's have a quick look at the insurance options. I usually recommend for normal holiday makers to actually have the full insurance cover. So let's click that and see what's included here. You basically nil excess usually. So if you have an accident or any damage to the car, then you basically have no problem. You could use your travel insurance to cover that, but that's not a topic. It's a little bit more complicated and you have more work involved. But you see the price, it's quite high there for 7 days, so it works out nearly about $200 a day. So this is quite significant. So let's have a look at another option on how you can reduce that cost. Now back to the first page here, and what we're doing now, we actually return the vehicle to the same location, and you will see what kind of difference that makes. It's absolutely possible with the itinerary. I'll jump into there very soon to show you how this would work and how you can manage that. First indicator, as you can see here on the right hand side, the prices are much lower. So the key issue is here, you have many more options in respect of operators. So not only the big ones like 𝗬𝗏𝗃 or 𝗬𝗏𝗃 or 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗃, but look at this here, you have a whole range of other options. You know, you have to be careful. I wouldn't go for the lowest possible price, but I would go for reputable operators like Easy Rental, like Go Rentals, Snap Rentals is good. Let's stick to these three and have a look what kind of charges they have. And again, we wanted to have a kind of like a mid-range SUV. I mean, this is even the larger one. Let's go for the 𝗬𝗏 here. This is a really good car with Easy Rental, which is a reputable operator. The cost looks good. Let's dive into the details. Right, Toyota 𝗬𝗏, as you can see straight away, there's actually no one-way fee, which is great. If you have any questions about any charges here, drop a comment in the comments box below and I'm happy to answer that for you. We continue here and see what actually the costs are. Again, we want to go for a full insurance cover, which is the best in my opinion to be hassle-free. So what we have here now, we have less than $100 per day in respect of the rental cost. It's a great car, the 𝗬𝗏, it's very popular. And that just shows you, if you can do the return in this instance back to Auckland, this is a big advantage in respect of price. Let's have a quick look at the itinerary, how you would do this. So with this itinerary, you would have, let's say you have a couple of nights in Auckland, you have a couple of nights in Rotorua, you drive through to Waitomo, do a day trip to Taupo, and then go at the end of that time in the North Island, go to the Coromandel. And what you do then, you drive back to Auckland Airport. It's only about 2.5 hour, maximum 3 hour drive. The airport is on the southern side, and then you take a domestic flight down south, either to Christchurch or to Queenstown or to Dunedin. That's yet another key advantage, because you actually get better airfares from Auckland to the South Island. This is another way to actually save costs, not only with a rental car, but also with a domestic flight. If you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button below to stay in touch for more helpful travel videos to come. Also, please tick that little like button below, as it helps our channel to grow. Thank you very much. So okay, we're back to the 𝗬𝗏 overview. Let's go quickly through the summary on the costs and how it works. But before that, you can find the link to Discovery Car in the description box below to check your rental car options and to make reservations. So here we got the summary, and that's quite cool actually, because you see the star rating. Obviously it's a very good rating, as I mentioned before. 𝗬𝗏𝗃 is a well-known company here in New Zealand. The pickup location, you can change that, Auckland Airport, or you can do it from the city. But the drop-off, obviously, as we mentioned before, is at Auckland Airport. You got unlimited mileage, you got the collision damage waiver. You can dive in a little bit more into the rental conditions here, what you can use, all really clearly stated, and you can dive in there. But also, let's have a quick look here on the charges. The prepayment is $63, plus for the full coverage, for the insurance, basically you pay $266.50 here when you do the reservation, and the rest you would actually pay at the depot when you pick it up. So that's the way it works with Discover Cars. So like here on the left hand side, you obviously put in your details, then you basically just go through the booking process. And here also important, you can actually cancel the reservation again free of charge until 48 hours before you actually pick it up. So that's handy to know. And one more thing here is free additional driver, which is quite a good one. Many operators do offer that in New Zealand, so keep that in mind. Often the big ones like 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗁, 𝗬𝗏𝗃𝗁𝗍, Budget, those kinds of operators, they would charge extra, but especially the smaller operators do actually do that for free. Yet another reason to actually go with local operators and drop it back to Auckland Airport saves you money. So with this itinerary, you would fly into Christchurch and pick up a rental car. There are really every hour flights from Auckland to Christchurch, either with Air New Zealand or with Jetstar. And I laid this all out in this sample itinerary. You don't need to use this one. Fly into Christchurch around midday. If you can get a midday flight, you would arrive about 1 o'clock, and then you basically make your way through the South Island. In this instance, Mount Cook, then down to Dunedin, Fiordland, Queenstown, Wanaka, West Coast, and basically finish in Nelson. So what we're now doing is actually going through the rental car booking process for that pick up Christchurch, drop off in Nelson. So I already put in the details here. So pick up in Christchurch and drop off in Nelson as previously mentioned. Pick up on the 17th of November, 1 p.m. and drop off on the 1st of December, which is basically 14 days. One thing you have to keep in mind here with the pick up and drop off time. If the drop off time is 1 hour after the pickup time, so in this instance you pick it up at 1 and you drop it off at 2 or 2:30 or whatever, you actually will charge at least part of the day. So what is best really to do it on 24-hour cycles. This is the way rental car work on 24 hours. So let's have a look through this and see what kind of options come up. First, I like to go through here again on the left hand side. We can check what kind of operators are here. As you can see, there are less operators because not that many have a depot in Nelson, but it still works because we've got Snap and we've got Go Rentals. These are two of my favorite operators, especially Go Rentals. They're a little bit more, no, actually they're not, they're actually a little bit less, but let's have a look. So we want to go again for a intermediate SUV. Here we are. Look at this, Go Rentals. They do have a depot in Christchurch and in Nelson. So let's go through this rental option again with Go Rentals, as well a RAV4 Toyota. And as you can see, again, it's additional driver is free of charge, which is great. And there is no one-way fee. This often happens, especially in the South Island. If you have rentals more than 7 days, they actually don't charge you a one-way fee. And especially Go Rentals, they're pretty good with that. Pretty much the same what we had before. So let's go through the costing in this instance. Yet again, I would recommend to have a full cover, which is here on the right hand side. Let's do this, and it's pretty much the same what you've done before with the North Island. Put in your details, but let's have a quick look through the summary here. So again, it's an excellent rating. It's a hybrid car, which basically in these days it's quite good. It can actually drive on battery partly, and that's quite an interesting one, a free shuttle service. These rental car companies, the smaller rental car companies, are not located at the airports because the airports charge those operators not only the fee for their office, but also for each individual rental they have to pay, or you as a client have to pay. So what they basically have, they have the depot not far away from the airport, and they transfer you there, which saves you a hell of a lot of money. So apart from that, in Nelson, it's directly at the airport. I'm based here in Nelson, so I know it very well. And it's pretty much the same what we discussed before. So the payment details are here. In this instance, you have to do the full payment. That means the full $2,200. But again, you can actually cancel free of charge up to 48 hours before you pick up the cars. I would highly recommend, especially in the peak summer season, you need to make rental car reservations because there's limited fleet, especially for these kind of more local operators where you're getting a better price. If you just leave it last minute, you will only get what is left, and often it's the most expensive. Right, let's have another quick look through the first page and just my thoughts on the rental options you have. Here we have a small car. You need to keep in mind, especially if you're traveling the South Island, you want to have a little bit of engine grind, so you get a bit of power. You don't want to get the smallest car. I usually recommend 1.6 liter or more. They all will be automatic, so there's no rental car in New Zealand with sticks, just the occasionally four-wheel drive, but the normal car's not. So this is something you need to keep in mind. Here on the left-hand side again, just quickly, you can select here seats as mentioned before, the payment type, the location type, the supplier rating, we ticked here 8+, additional charges, booster seats, child seats, the fuel policy, which is one basically you pick up the rental car with a fuel tank full and you will need to return the tank full, which is an important thing because if they fill up the tank for you, you pay much more for the fuel as such. So this is pretty much all you need to know in respect of rental cars in New Zealand and get the best possible deal. If you have any questions, put them into the comments field and I will reply to all of them. It's helpful for anyone wanting to rent a car in New Zealand. So here you have it, how best to book your rental car in New Zealand. To get a head start to plan where you actually drive, download this free sample road trip itinerary or use my travel planning app. Both are linked in the description box below. Up here you can check more helpful sample New Zealand travel itinerary videos. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next video.